is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Dorm Debate podcast. I want to thank all of you that watched our last episode and commented and liked it. It was our most viewed podcast, and we put a lot of hard work into it. So we thank you for even just throwing it a view. That's like, thank you guys so much. We appreciate all your support. We went back to TikTok again to get some topics from the fans. And we're going to go right into it right off the bat. And this question is from Gabriella. I must know, who was the messiest roommate? If you guys don't know, we all lived together in college. And Gabriella, who is my girlfriend, wants to know who was the messiest roommate. Just to have a fun topic to break the ice here with the guys. I'll start this one off. I know who I'm picking. The messiest roommate.
Who is it?
The messiest roommate is Caleb.
You were so quick on like,
it's not
even a moment's hesitation.
It's not like a dirty mess, but it's like
it's not a dirty mess.
It's like a spread out kind of mess.
I know where everything is that I need.
It's like his mind is like, all right, I'm gonna do the laundry, but I'm gonna throw all my laundry on the bed. So
That's
you
true.
can't use the bed. The laundry's everywhere. But like, I know this section is for laundry.
Oh my!
Other than that, yeah, I don't. John is the list.
Jonathan, who's your pick?
Yeah, so that was an interesting pick by you guys, but I think I'm gonna pick myself. I live with Caleb.
Thank you.
I don't think he's that messy. For me, sometimes I try to clean once in a while, but when I'm like studying for a big test or I know a test is coming up, I don't care about anything else. It's so messy. I'm sure Caleb can attest to this. We live together.
Actually, yeah.
Like I can get really messy,
I
throw
wouldn't
things
say you're
around.
messy, but you're very laser focused. So I could see like that rationale where it's just like,
yeah, I don't got time for cleaning.
Yeah, exactly.
You got too much. You got to prepare for dorm.
There's many times.
John.
Exactly. I gotta.
John, here's yours. Oh, yeah.
And so there were many times throughout college where I was so untidy. So I would pick myself over Caleb.
Thank you.
All right. One vote for Caleb, one vote for Jonathan.
So my imposter is so my pick is actually going to be Jared for this one. And the reason being is because we used to always go into Jared's room to do the podcast, all of the, the first 5 to 6 episodes. And your bed was just never made.
I don't make my bed. I'm going to get in it in 12 hours.
Yeah.
Dude, yeah. My room's messy, but that's like the one thing I do every day.
I never went in.
Bed.
I only went in Caleb's room and Jonathan's room like once or twice, but your room I was in pretty often, and I just never saw that bed made. So I'm sorry. I'm just.
Dude, I sleep with one comforter. I know you guys.
That's true.
So like making a bed is like done.
I know. So it takes 2 seconds. So why don't you just do it,
dude?
You just
my bed's made right now. It's made right now, so I do it for the podcast.
I was gonna say, would it have been done if there was no podcast?
No, it wasn't done until 10 minutes ago.
I mean, I think since my bed's done.
I think since it was Gabriella asking the question, I'm pretty sure she's gonna say you. So I think Gabriella's gonna agree with me on this one.
She wants what's the word when you come together to try to help someone with the problem? Whatever, that's what you want. I would actually vote for my pick. I hate to say it, but yeah, it'd be me. I think I know myself. It's a problem. I'm trying to work through it. I think I know where everything is, but I do agree that I could use a little tidying up. So yes, that's 2 for me. So I guess I lose or win or something. I don't know. Thanks for the question.
Yeah, thank you for the question. Caleb will be taking a leave of absence from the podcast to focus on his problem.
Yeah.
Gotta watch some Marie Kondo, I guess.
No, I don't think it's that. It's just like I think you want to do
she's
things right, so it's you take time with like cleaning and stuff like that.
I think I'm like Jonathan, where I'm like, I'd rather do this other thing than just like make sure
Yes,
the books are perfectly aligned. You know, like
exactly.
gotta work on gotta study for the podcast.
Yeah. All right. Well, now that we got that out of the way, let's get into some football, which is what this podcast is all about. Jalen Hurts and Carson Wentz. Let's talk about that for a second. This user by the name of Alex Bowman asked Jalen Hurts versus Carson Wentz. And then another user, DZook99, asked, and this was after the Eagles game, what's the problem? Is it play calling? Is it Carson Wentz? Is it the GM? What's going on? Now, the Seahawks beat the Eagles on Monday, 23-17, making it their third straight loss. And it's not going to get any better, folks. If you're an Eagles fan, freaking close your eyes for this one. Turn the podcast off. You guys
Might
got
as well.
the Packers next.
No, don't leave me.
Saints, and then you guys got the Cardinals. So it's not going to get any easier for you guys. John, we'll go around, and then obviously Caleb, who is an Eagles fan, we will get to him right at the end. First off, Jalen Hurts or Carson Wentz, do you think they should put Hurts in now? They put him in for one play, completed a pass, took him right out. Do you think it's good to have that indecisiveness? And also, where is the blame solely? Is it on Doug Peterson? Is it on Carson Wentz, GM, ownership? Where do you see it?
Well, the first thing, if you're an Eagles fan, and Caleb specifically, next Eagles game, instead of watching the game, you can clean your room now because there's no sense watching it.
Oh, wow.
But Giants are now leading the division at 4-7, and I need Daniel Jones's hamstring to heal up because it seems like every time a team gets in first in this division, something bad happens.
It's crazy.
But anyway, yeah. So first off, Jalen Hurts or Carson Wentz. Now that the Eagles are not leading the division, put Jalen Hurts in. This is the first time all season I'm finally saying it. Put Jalen Hurts in. He runs one play, he completes a pass to Jeffrey, and then you take him out. I don't know why put him in, complete a pass and then take him out. I don't understand that. Like you mentioned the indecisiveness. Like, please just pick one or the other. You've picked Wentz all the way. They're not leading the division. Everything's going horribly wrong. Just put Hurts in, get him on the run, do something creative. Like you're doing the same thing every game. And Wentz, they put up a stat, 23.3% of the time he's off target. That's the highest in the league, highest percentage. He's just not hitting like the routes. And like you said, is it Wentz and his accuracy? Is it injuries? Is it the play calling? Is it the GM? Guys, it's everything. And it's hard to put the blame on one spot. But I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to if I had to choose one person, I'd say it's Doug Peterson. And I know there's blame going everywhere. Injuries, Wentz can't throw accurately at all. The GM doesn't get receivers that can help him out. The offensive line is injured as heck. But Doug Peterson is calling these plays. They're going for 2-pointers when they don't need to. They're going forward on fourth down when they don't need to. I know Wentz is staring down guys. He's going to Goddard every play. The other receivers aren't even trying to run because they know they're not even going to get it. And it's like the one touchdown was a Hail Mary that was just like, whatever, This team, I'm sorry, Eagles fans, and Caleb, I'm very sorry, but the Eagles aren't going to be good for a while. The GM made a horrible mistake, and they're literally stuck with Carson Wentz. What can they do? They just signed him to a 4-year, $100-something million contract. They literally have to keep him now. So what do you do? If you put in Hurts, if you get rid of Wentz, your salary cap is taking a hit. You're paying Wentz no matter what. Most of the contract is guaranteed. So you guys are stuck with him. So he needs to either figure it out or you guys are going to lose. I'm sorry. Like, even if you put Hurts in, like Wentz is sitting on the bench and you're paying him millions. So I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I completely agree, John. I completely agree. Look, the Eagles ran like 66 plays yesterday compared to the Seahawks 63. And you saw what the Seahawks did, right? That shows the Seahawks are more efficient. In terms of the Eagles, Doug Peterson, I do like him as a coach. He's a really smart coach, really good on offense, but he's struggling right now. But can you really blame him? With Carson Wentz, you're paying him that much. You think he's going to be your MVP, your franchise quarterback. But yesterday, Carson Wentz threw 45 times. Doug Peterson, that was a real bad decision. Some of those passes were probably RPOs. Carson, you probably should be running the ball more. You probably should be handing it off more rather than picking the pass option. Okay. But quarterbacks that throw the ball 45 times a game, Patrick Mahomes threw 49 this past weekend. You let the MVP caliber quarterbacks do that. You don't give a quarterback that's struggling a chance to screw up the game 45 times. And if you look at the rushing, he rushed most among Eagles players. He was the highest rusher among the Eagles players yesterday. And so that's another really bad sign. Doug Peterson, he's struggling, and it's because Carson Wentz is giving him a hard time, right? That one season, he was really good. So Doug Peterson was really sold on him. So he thinks these plays he's running fit the team really well. But you have to realize that Carson Wentz is not that same quarterback. He had a one lucky season. He's not the same guy. Doug, you have to change things up. You try to make him into Jalen Hurts by running the ball. It's not going to work. You put Jalen Hurts in one play to tease people. Doug, you're a great coach. He's a great coach, but he has to change some things up. I know the NFC East sucks right now. Everybody sucks. So you still kind of you got to give Carson Wentz a chance. But things have to change really soon, or else you can lose your job for this. But I would say the most important person to blame for this, again, is Carson Wentz. Doug Peterson is not the top 10. I don't think he's the top 10 paid coaches in the league. There's a lot of people under him. Carson Wentz is one of the top 5 paid quarterbacks. So the blame goes on Carson Wentz. But I agree with John. Everybody's to blame, but the most blame goes on Carson.
And one thing before you guys add, I was going to say, we know one thing after this week is that Doug Peterson doesn't watch our podcast because he didn't hand the ball to Miles Sanders. He's literally averages over 5 yards a carry, and you give it to him 6 times. I don't understand why you, like Jonathan said, why are you putting it in the worst quarterback in the league? You're putting it in his hands 45 times. Like, I don't understand that.
Sense.
Do you see what the Browns are doing? They're handing it to Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, and look at their record, 8-3. I know the Eagles offensive line has injuries, but if he's averaging 5 yards a carry, he's doing something right. So I don't know. He's just trying, like Jonathan said, he's trying the same things over and over, and it's not working.
Yeah, and like the play calling in game we know is bad, and you guys hit it right on the money. But even the GM and the owners, when they're doing draft picks, I mean they definitely missed on Whiteside, JJ Arcega-Whiteside. They picked him before DK Metcalf. Then This year they picked Jalen Reagor, who we don't know if he's going to be great, but he doesn't look like he was a first round pick, or at least
like there are other rookie receivers who
Did they pick him ahead of Justin Jefferson?
Yeah, they picked him ahead of Justin Jefferson, Claypool, like all these guys. So again, you whiffed in the draft. So not only on the field are you guys struggling, but off the field with draft picks, you're struggling as well. So I don't know, Caleb, I don't want to talk too much. So Caleb, give us your side.
I'll be succinct because I know last podcast I think I ranted for a while about this.
But tell us how you feel.
It hurts, I mean, not.
It does.
I like that.
You did that. Right. You did that to yourself.
It's not what I. My point is. My point is, as an Eagles fan, there are highs and lows. You're there. I'm there when they win the Super Bowl. I'm there in seasons like this. All right, so just want to get that out of the way. I did some research in depth. I feel like I should mention it because he's a YouTuber. He does really well. I like a lot of his videos. But Brett Coleman did an in-depth analysis of the film tape on Carson Wentz and came up with 3 conclusions as to why specifically is Wentz not playing well. And I believe the 3 he mentioned was a mechanics breakdown, and we can probably link his video in the YouTube description so people can see it. Because it was really informative to me. Because I've been really curious. I know I got into it a little bit last week, but one was a mechanics breakdown. Little things like his toe not pointing on some of the interceptions he made, pointing away from the receiver. So like when you see the interception, it makes sense why it drifts a certain way when the mechanics aren't there. The other thing was pressure. I mean, this wasn't on the video, but I think Shannon Sharp said that I think Carson Wentz is on pace to be one of the most, I think the most, he's on pace for it. So it's not happened yet, but he's on pace to be the most pressured or the most sacked, I forget the statistic, quarterback in all NFL history. So for a season, and so, I think that shows our O-line problems are so much bigger than people I think understand. Because I think as a fan, as I look at the Eagles, I'm like, what's going on? Like, we have on paper we were pretty good. We had one of the best O lines. There was an article that said we had a top 5, top 10 O line, and that's because we've had so many injuries. I think 3 or 4 of the starters are now out for the season. Carson Wentz has had, I think, 22 combinations of offensive linemen in and out. So he's just not having time in the pocket. And when he does have time in the pocket, I think the second thing was that Carson Wentz is by nature keeps the ball going. Like, he never gives up on a play, which is what I like in a quarterback. But when the receivers aren't there, then you end up throwing picks, you make mistakes, you try to force things. And when you're under pressure that much, it hurts, And I think the third thing that he said in the video was play calling, which I think we'll get to in a second. Questionable. Doug Peterson has shown he can win a Super Bowl, but in the past few weeks, decisions to be aggressive when it isn't smart. Like, we could have hit a field goal, I think, in 2 games in a row that would have put us within 1 score, but we will go for it on 4th and 1 in field goal range. So, like, I understand I like aggressive play, but I think of, like, to bring a little history into this podcast, Julius Caesar, his military tactics were very aggressive. And that's, like, historians note this. But the thing is, when he was aggressive, in hindsight, he was always right. Like, they would say he'd be bold, but it was like that was in hindsight the perfect move to make. And the Eagles have not been smart in that regard. Like, we've been aggressive, but in hindsight, like, we didn't need to be. Yeah. And that's the difference between the right kind of aggression that Doug Peterson showed in 2017. And those all factors. And I think the big thing that I'll leave on this, there's more to unpack there. The big thing for me is I think this isn't a problem that we've manufactured for ourselves, the Eagles. And again, with hindsight, because we could have drafted Metcalf, we could have gotten Justin Jefferson, Claypool. So our talent evaluation has not been there. I mean, I like Rager. I'm glad he's on the team, but it remains to be seen that he's playing at the level of these other rookies, and that relates to the quarterback, give you that. But, maybe if he was switching spots with Metcalf, maybe he'd having a breakout season, with Wilson throwing to him. But at the same time, I think drafting Jalen Hurts, I know we talked about it on the podcast. We can go back. It was a big risk by the Eagles. They invest a lot into the backup position, and they took a risk. They took the risk saying that we have an aging O-line, but they're really good when they're healthy. The problem is they haven't been healthy. We need to get weapons for Carson Wentz. We got him weapons, but they were all injured. Jeffrey was injured. Jackson was injured. So the only person who's been fully healthy, Kelsey was the last one standing except for Carson Wentz. Out of all our draft picks since, I think, 2015, the only Pro Bowl player that we've gotten was Carson Wentz. So my point is, the long and short of it is, I feel like Carson Wentz is playing poorly. Yeah. But my thing is, he was too good for most of his career, maybe the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th year. Because even last season, he didn't have a receiver over 500 yards. We still made the playoffs, beating the Cowboys, for that crucial game. So, like, a player that good doesn't just regress because he feels like it or doesn't feel like it. I think the underlying factors that the draft picks haven't panned out, injuries to the team, and mechanics breaking down because you're under pressure so much that you start to get gun shy. Like, you can't think the way you rationally would when you're constantly on record for the most pressure on the history of the NFL in the football league. So, like, I want to give Carson Wentz. My thing is, I don't think it's, we're seeing articles now like blow up the Eagles, like to start over. I'm like, Carson Wentz is too good of a player that I almost guarantee if he goes to another team that values him and gives him the weapons and the stability that the Eagles haven't given him this year, he can go back to the 2017. He's not the same, but he's shown that he can be that clutch player, and he carries the plays. So with drafting Jalen Hurts, we now have this whole narrative of, put in Hurts and it's going to fix all our problems. I don't think it's going to happen, but at this point, in regards to the last game, I texted you guys. I was like, at this point, I don't like the indecision. Like, maybe if we just put in Hurts for one game and just, if he shines, great. But if there's still problems there, then I think that actually kind of may take pressure off of Wentz to be like, all right, the worst has happened. And then you can maybe see what you do for the rest of the season, because it's only a 1-game difference. Like the division for the NFC East is so bad that the possibilities are endless. So sorry I went on, but I leave it there.
And one thing I'm gonna say, that a lot of it is in Wentz's head. Like, he is a guy that goes off of like momentum, and like you saw the 2017 year. They got off to a good start, won the first few games, and he was throwing touchdown passes, and he goes, he gains this confidence. And then this year, he loses a few games, and then the media gets on him and things get in his head, and it's like, no, like, he's just going down the rabbit hole. I don't know. He needs to somehow train his mind or something to get out of that.
Because he's playing like Jameis Winston, or he can not even. I don't know. That might be a bad comparison, but that's what I mean when the Eagles manufactured this problem for ourselves. Like, if we had not drafted Hurts, the conversation would not be put in Hurts. It would be, why aren't we getting Carson the help he needs? Like, why aren't we? If this was Wilson, like Wilson as Wilson's under pressure comparably to Wentz. Now he's thrown to Metcalf and Lockett though, and he's Russell Wilson. Like. Okay. I doubt that even if you put Brady or Wilson in Wentz's position, that they would do well. Like, the situation is just so collectively bad that we put all the pressure on Wentz because we manufactured this problem for ourselves. Because we took a risk with drafting Hurts. I don't think I don't know what I think of him as an NFL quarterback yet, but the whoever is in charge of the draft decisions took a risk, and it's backfiring. Because you're right, I think it is affecting. I mean, you lead your team on a NFL MVP level season. Then Foles takes over because you're injured, but he leads to the Super Bowl, so you're in that shadow, right? Then you sign a 4-year contract, but then your team, he's 27, I think, or Wentz is, or something like that. Then you sign Jalen Hurts, who could potentially be a starter in the NFL one day. I mean, who knows? But like, the mixed messages from the management is like, that's not going to inspire confidence in anyone. Like, it's the only person I've seen it work out with is Aaron Rodgers, because they drafted Love, but Aaron Rodgers is like, much more experienced, much more seasoned,
Yeah.
But it's a fair point.
Oh, wait, it should have been 23-10. Carson Wentz got lucky on that Hail Mary.
Yeah.
Just so y'all know. Go back and watch the film.
You could take that touchdown off of his stats.
He does not give. All right. Okay. He doesn't give up. I like him for that, but all right.
Yeah.
Enough.
I saw an article. I don't know if it's true, so I don't want to like say it. It's confirmed.
What's
but
the gossip?
I've heard that Wentz didn't like that he was taken out in the middle of the game, and that may have been why Hurts came in for one play, because Wentz was like, "What are you doing? Like, get me back in the game." But that's not confirmed. But there's rumors. We're gonna see how this plays out soon. It's only Tuesday. Well, let's get out of the NFC East for a little bit and go to some breaking news that came out on Monday. Will Fuller of the Houston Texans has been suspended for 6 games. There's only 5 games left, so it's the rest of the season. And also Bradley Roby is also suspended 6 games. Same thing. They both had performance-enhancing substances, and both of them didn't know. They were told by a doctor that it was okay to take under the NFL guidelines. It ended up not being okay, and they were just misled. So that's the story.
That's the story, but who knows what actually happened?
That's the story. So that's not like, that's what we're hearing, but it's not.
That's what Will Fuller posted on Instagram, and same with Bradley Roby. They both just said they were misled by these doctors, and they thought it was okay. And they were
sounds like the doctors were popping them with them.
So this comes at an interesting time, because Will Fuller's contract is up this year, and he becomes an unrestricted free agent. So he may have just played his last game in Houston. And there are a lot of wide receivers that are in free agency next year. Allen Robinson, Kenny Galladay, Juju, Marvin Jones, Brashad Perryman, Corey Davis. There's a lot to pick from. I don't know if Houston will spend money on Will Fuller. Will Fuller is making like $20 million this year. Like, it's an obscene amount. And do you need Will Fuller? Maybe not. You have Brandon Cooks. So maybe if you sign like a Sammy Watkins like in free agency and you save some of that cap room. I think as far as Will Fuller, I would say stay with the Texans. I think Deshaun Watson is a franchise quarterback, and you don't want to go to a team that has either an aging quarterback that will leave or a young quarterback that's unproven. Deshaun Watson's top 10, top 15 quarterback. I think for your personal career, I think you don't take that for granted and you sign with the Texans. As far as the Texans in general, they got to get a running back. They got to get a running back that can receive in the backfield. David Johnson's not the answer at all.
Mm-hmm.
I think they go for that in the draft. I think they go with Travis Etienne. He's 40 receptions this year, 500 yards receiving, 1,000-yard rusher. I think that's a perfect guy to pair up with Deshaun Watson, who also went to Clemson. Travis Etienne is at Clemson. I think that's a perfect fit. And to try and build, that Kamara type player in the backfield will really do wonders for Deshaun Watson to just take some of the weight off of the offense off him. So, John, what are your thoughts on Will Fuller going forward in the Houston Texans?
So Fuller, obviously a big hit for fantasy teams. One guy you can pick up that not a lot of people know about, Kiki Cutie, because Kenny Stills just got let go because he wants to sign with a playoff contending team. Randall Cobb is hurt right now. So Kiki Cutie, please pick him up. If you're in an 8-person league, 6-person league, maybe 10, it might not be worth it, but 10 team, 12 team, 14, 16, pick this guy up, put a waiver in for him this week. It's worth it. And he'll pay off because he'll play in the slot. But Fuller, he needs to go back to the Texans. The Texans need him. He's better than Cooks. He's really underrated. And if you have him on your fantasy team, you know that. He's had every game this season that he's played, he's had over 10 fantasy points, except one game. And he's consistent. He either gets a touchdown or 100 yards basically every game. He's a great player. And he needs to come back, sign with the Texans. And as far as the future for the Texans, I say in the draft, their first pick has to be an offensive lineman. They do need a running back, but they need offensive linemen. Watson's been sacked for years and years now, and you see Johnson running, and he can't get any space. So they need an offensive lineman, but Fuller definitely needs to sign.
The Texans look even more stupid right now, right? DeAndre Hopkins, we've said this week in and week out. How stupid do they look right now? Their season is out the window, of course. And also, I think they recently cut Kenny Stills, right? And so I'm sure they weren't expecting this, right? So their season is out the drain. Will Fuller, I agree with both of you guys. His best opportunity, the best chance he has at shining at receiver is with the Texans. Because right now he's basically their receiver one. If they don't get another receiver next offseason, then he's going to be their main guy. So that's going to help him in the future in his career. But the Texans just look more stupid right now.
Yeah, I don't know to comment on any of the how that got into his system for Fuller. I don't think they're contesting it, so they're not playing without him. They're playing without him for the rest of the season. And if they make the playoffs somehow, then maybe we'll see him again, right? But at least for the regular season, we're not going to see Fuller again, which sucks for the Texans. I think the shadow of Hopkins is going to be there for a while, in my opinion. I agree with John. I think you got to, not to bring it back to the NFTs, but you don't want to make the same mistakes as what's happening with Carson Wentz, where you have a good quarterback, you just paid him a lot of money, protect him, get people to protect him. And you do have to get him weapons, but protect them first, in my opinion. You got to get a player that good if you give him a little time with the offensive line. It's like this season, there was a big headline of, I think he's worth it, but he got his contract, he got his money, and then they're not playing that well. They're not winning against better teams. They got rid of Hopkins, like Jonathan, you said, they don't look good because Hopkins is blowing up. I think you got to help. You got to help the Texans, protect their quarterback. As well as if I'm Fuller, stay with him. I know it's money in this league, it's a business, but you do want to take into account that if you have good chemistry with that quarterback, you don't want to with Watson. You don't want to lose it. You see other receivers go to good teams that could pay him a lot, but in their season, it's not a fun. It's not a fun game. they don't do well, they don't mesh, and then it's just a year lost of your career, you know? So I think if something's working, get your money, but I think we'll see Fuller again, you know, with the Texans uniform. But if they keep Fuller and Cooks and they have, you know, QT, and I think they have some like strong with Watson there, they just got to protect them, you know, maybe help with the defense. I think with the new head coach, they're going to see some change. A lot of the decisions that happen with the head coach, you know, we talked about it before, might have been personal. We don't know. But I think it's a fresh start. They're kind of wiping the slate clean. They got to start next year off with getting some linemen, getting Watson some help.
100%. That question was asked by Ayo 25 with 13 O's.
Oh, you counted. Very nice.
I counted 13 O's.
Very good.
Thank you for the question.
Thanks.
We're going to move on to the next one. And this was asked by Anthony Ferrasi 13. Comeback player of the year next year. Now there's a lot because so many players had season-ending injuries, and he is just flaunting his Saquon Barkley jersey right in our faces. Some of the players: Saquon Barkley, obviously, Nick Bosa, Von Miller, Dak Prescott, Joe Burrow, Tariq Cohen. All these guys had season-ending injuries. In my opinion, I'll tell you one guy that I'm worried about, and then I'll give you my comeback player of the year. Joe Burrow's injury is a lot more serious and complex than they first initially thought.
Yeah.
And I'm really worried about that because it's his first year and he goes down with this sort of injury that's really going to decrease his mobility. And I did hear something that if the Bengals have a first or second pick, they're thinking about drafting another quarterback, Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, which sounds crazy.
Well,
but
look at the Cardinals. Look at the Cardinals, though.
I mean, if they think this injury is going to decrease his value that much to not be able to be a franchise quarterback, then they should do it.
It was an ugly injury, though. It was like, I think the MCL and ACL, and it was like technology now that I think I've heard people say like in the 60s and 80s, not to interrupt you or something. But like that used to be, if you got that once in your career, you're done for life. Like you're not playing football again.
Kind of like the Alex Smith.
Yeah. So the fact that technology now is like you're out for a year, but you get to come back, it's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll let you go in a second. But in the video I mentioned earlier, like a lot of, if you look at Carson Wentz, you know, Carson Wentz had an ACL tear in his left knee, I think, or MCL. One, he hurt his knee, a season-ending injury in his left knee, right? And in this analysis, it was poignant to me that, you know, I still think he's got it, but a lot of the picks that he was throwing came from his left foot not pointing towards the target to his outside. So you might see in Wentz, you know, a little change in the mechanics from that injury still lagging. Yeah, I hope he's okay, 100%. But you're right. Like Burrow's injury is probably worse than Wentz was, and it sucks because I think Burrow. I mean, if they draft someone else, though, I think you unleash it. Like, you could potentially unleash someone of a monster with Burrow because he's kind of like a pocket passer, I would think, mobile, you know, but it might not affect them that much.
He doesn't rely on his speed too much, honestly.
Right.
But I think just being mobile to scramble in the pocket.
Yeah.
That, like they're going to be scared for him to get hit.
True.
But
if Justin Fields or Trevor Lawrence is available, they got to get him if they're available.
It's crazy. Yeah, they have to see how he does with rehab and stuff. Like
they're going to jump ship that fast.
Yeah.
I mean, but if they're there, maybe I think you unleash him on. Like if Burrow goes somewhere else, which he would in that situation, you might unleash. It's like imagine if the Patriots had traded Brady, you know, the year he got injured or something.
That would be nuts. I think
I don't know.
On Burrow though, I think there'd be a lot. But I think the comeback player of the year next year will be Dak Prescott.
Thank you.
It's super simple. Second year with CeeDee Lamb. He was already tearing it up with CeeDee Lamb before the injury. And Amari Cooper, like I don't know, you just can't deny the stats that he's gonna have at the end of the season for 2021. Like it's gonna be through the roof, just like he was on trajectory to do this season. So Dak Prescott, comeback player of the year.
Jonathan, you can go because I think you're going to say the same thing.
I completely agree. Yes. He was leading in passing. He was leading in passing before his injury. And he was actually leading in passing with some quarterbacks until like a couple weeks ago or something crazy like that. Look, Dak is an MVP caliber. He was on the trajectory to be even better than Brady at one moment in his career. I still believe one day he could be better than Brady.
After the first 2 games of his career.
It was his first 2. It was the first year. This guy is a superstar. He's gonna bounce back from this. He's had a year or almost close to a year to sit back, relax, learn the game, study the film. He's gonna come back smarter and better than ever before. And he has all the weapons, like Jared said. CeeDee Lamb, Cooper. Okay.
This is if he resigns.
Zeke in the backfield.
If he resigns, though, that's a big if,
Oh, he's gonna resign. They're gonna give him a max contract. They're gonna give him a max contract
after what's happened without him. You guys think he's going back to the Cowboys?
Yeah, he's gonna resign.
Oh yeah. I think he wants to, but do you think they're gonna pay him now?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, they'll pay him.
They feel bad for him now.
Yeah, they feel bad for him, exactly.
No, but the comeback player of the year is gonna be Saquon Barkley. And I'm not going to say Dak's going to have a bad year because I think he's going to have a good year. But the reason he had such a good year this year is because the defense was so bad. So he had to score so much and teams were letting him score. So next year, I guarantee the Cowboys are going to draft defense. Their defense is going to be better. They're going to get rid of Mike Nolan. They're going to have a much better defense. Dak isn't going to have to throw it. Zeke's going to have a better year, which means less stats for Dak and more stats for Saquon, because imagine if we had Saquon on our team right now, we'd have at least an even 500 record, but we don't.
Same with us. If we had Dak on there, we'd probably be 8-2 or something.
Come on, no, you wouldn't be 8-2.
I don't know about the wins.
Jonathan,
he wasn't getting wins either way.
He's getting stats, but
you'd definitely be leading the division.
You just can't deny his stats, so they're going to be like top 5 and everything.
Dak?
Yeah.
No, because their defense is going to get better. They're not going to throw it as much. Trust me. McCarthy learned you need to focus on
running
defense.
back.
What?
They don't have a running back.
Zeke?
He's okay.
Fumbles.
I mean, that's true.
Yeah, but they have Pollard.
Every year, look, as a
Cowboys
fan, every year we think the defense is going to get better. Maybe next year. It's not going to get better. Let's be honest.
It'll get a little bit better, and it'll get better to the point where it'll allow Saquon to have a really good year. Trust me, Saquon's too good not to break out. He hasn't had a breakout season other than his rookie year. So this is it. Next year is the year.
Caleb?
I don't know because I can't say Carson Wentz. I hate to say it. I gotta be honest. I'm not saying he's gonna win Super Bowls or carry this team deep because I do not want them. I don't want him to. My mortal enemy. But I think as well that Dak Prescott's gonna have a good year when he comes back if he signs with the Cowboys. Again, I think he'll put up good stats, which is enough to get that record. I don't think he has the. I don't think they have the team yet, or he has the ability yet to prove they can win playoff games. Well, he's won a playoff game, but I don't think. It's hard to praise the Cowboys. That's why I'm stuttering. But you hate to see a player like him get hurt. I've said this before. It's never
really hurts you to say something good about the Cowboys.
Yeah, but statistically, I can't deny. Like fantasy-wise, he was putting up crazy numbers. What I'm saying is, next year with those, if he doesn't put up, if he re-signs and is like in a long-term contract and he's got those weapons around him, and they can give him time, like the same situation as this year, next year, or as similar as possible. And the defense is still going to be bad, lose them games. But I think stat-wise, he's going to come back and hopefully as strong as ever. I wish him well. I hope the Eagles beat him at full strength so that we can, humble the Cowboys per usual. But that's my pick.
Beautiful.
It hurt.
Right, 3 picks for Dak, 1 for Barkley. Yeah. Next up, this question was asked by Thomas McCormick. Options for QBs that don't really fit their team. Example, Mitch Trubisky, Jimmy Garoppolo, and Cam Newton. I went through each of these guys. I don't know if you guys all did, but I'll just go through mine. I think with Jimmy G, you got 2 years left on his contract, and they just beat the Rams with Nick Mullins.
Don't tell me.
Now before his value gets too low.
Wait, did you just say trade him?
Trade Jimmy Garoppolo now before his value gets too low.
He just went to the Super Bowl.
Just went hurt.
Dude, he was a quarter away from winning the Super Bowl.
They were in the lead.
Yeah, and so was Cam Newton.
Yeah.
A lot of people were.
That's why you don't get rid of Cam Newton.
Cam Newton.
What about?
He's unrestricted this year. And after this year. Cam, don't go back to the Patriots. They don't have weapons. You go to the Broncos. They got receiver weapons out the wazoo. Jerry Jeudy, Cordell Sutton, Noah Fant. What's the guy's name? Tim Patrick. That is where you need to be. You're not the greatest thrower of all time. I don't think this is news to you. So you need help. You need skill players. Philip Lindsay, Melvin Gordon, and then you got the great wide receiving core. Go to the Broncos and have a great rest of your career. Trubisky, he's an unrestricted as well. I'm scared for him because if he doesn't lead the Bears to a playoff, I see his career going out like Blake Bortles, who had one playoff run, and now he's third string for the Broncos. I think that's the career Trubisky is going towards. If he doesn't lead the Bears to the playoffs, I see him being just another backup for a team that'll come and play maybe once or twice for an injured quarterback, but I'm scared for Trubisky. So those are my three.
So you got 1 for 3 because I disagree with 2 of your 3. The one I agree with is Trubisky. Just go start eating nachos in the booth or something because your career is all but over.
We talk this way to players when they're like playing in the league, you know.
Once we get them on the podcast, then we'll talk nice. But as far as Jimmy G, he went to the Super Bowl last year. He's a good quarterback. Nick Mullins, it's all Kyle Shanahan. The win over the Rams, it's all Shanahan.
You really think it was Garoppolo that led him?
Yeah,
he was the quarterback.
Any other quarterback could have done the same exact thing in that offense with that defense.
Not necessarily. A little bit, but he did go to the Super Bowl and he was winning after 3 quarters.
His spot. Do they go to the Super Bowl?
Who?
Case Keenum.
Oh, no. Case Keenum's not that good. All right. Anyway, Cam Newton signed back with the Patriots, and
really?
we're gonna talk about the Patriots soon.
I thought you didn't. Okay.
I don't love Cam Newton, but from what I've seen this year, after the first few games, you guys are like, he put up 30 points. And I told you it's going to slow down. Defenses are going to start to learn how to play him, and they are. But next year, trust me, the Patriots are going to make the playoffs next year. Their defense is going to be better because they're going to get all their players back. They're going to have a top 5 defense next year. Imagine if Cam had a top 5 defense right now. They would be winning the division, I think. Like, he's not playing that bad. He needs to learn the system. It's only been a year. It hasn't even been a year yet. And it's COVID. Like, he hasn't had time to really play with all these guys. And in the we'll talk about it in a little bit, but Cam, stay with them. Garoppolo, stay. And Trubisky, eat nachos.
You don't think that's your statement? Okay, Jonathan?
Yeah, and I kind of agree with John. For me, Trubisky, yes, eat the nachos and make sure you got some jalapenos on there.
Oh, it's getting hungry.
Jimmy G, any team he goes to, I think is going to be successful. If the Cardinals were, not Cardinals, sorry, if the 49ers were to trade him, he would provide high value. They would get a lot in return. Like, he can go to any team he wants to, but the 49ers would be so stupid to trade him. This guy is the real deal. Why? He can play the game. He's been kind of struggling with injury this season, but he's still a legit quarterback. And so when you have a quarterback like that guy, you don't let him go.
What's special about him?
It's because they have a great defense. They have a great run game. He makes good decisions. He's pretty accurate. He doesn't turn the ball over. He doesn't need to drop back and throw 100 times a game.
Exactly.
You don't
You
need
get that quarterback for such lower value.
Yeah, it's not all about arm talent. It's all about good decisions, like John said. This guy makes good decisions. He's a smart guy. He understands the offense.
He doesn't turn the ball over. He makes the right plays where it needs to be. They got to the Super Bowl for a reason. They didn't just like win playoff games like for no reason.
I'm not saying he's awful, but I feel like with top tier paid quarterbacks, like I put him in the same like conversation as Kirk Cousins. Like Kirk Cousins, Jimmy Garoppolo.
Oh no, I wouldn't do that.
They're like the same to me. Like they didn't
Garoppolo.
I get what you're saying, but Garoppolo made it to the Super Bowl. You know,
but it wasn't him. They had one of the best.
I know, but what you're saying.
It's like Peyton Manning was in a similar situation.
The 49ers can't win you're saying the 49ers won't win a Super Bowl with them.
No.
No, with the team they have, they can. If he was on the Broncos, he's not going to win a Super Bowl. Like if you're saying Trubisky go to the Broncos, but if you're saying Garoppolo go to the Broncos, he's not going to be able to win a Super Bowl because he doesn't. That's not. He does need a good defense. He's not the guy that's going to drop back 30 times, but he does make good decisions. Doesn't turn it over. He's like him and Cam Newton are in the same sentence for me.
I still put Jimmy. I'll give him a little edge over Cam Newton. Like I think Jimmy G is a little bit overrated or underrated. Oh, my bad. I'm trying to think of a comparable to him. I think he's in the upper tier. He's better than average. Cam Newton is about an average quarterback right now. I think as the season progresses, they're asking him to do less because obviously he can't throw that well, right? For Cam, it's kind of a beggar with a choice. I don't think he has a choice but to stay with the Patriots if they want to keep him.
Yeah.
I don't think much teams would be interested in him if if Patriots ended up not re-signing him. And so I think Cam would be really lucky if the Patriots wanted to re-sign him because I think he would have a tough time getting another opportunity. But out of these three, Jimmy G, he should stay. He's a really great quarterback. Trubisky.
He's got one.
It's either Chicago or bust.
So he's got 2 years left on his contract. So if this next year comes up and they don't make the playoffs, now he's on his last year. What do you do? Do you sign him to an extension or do you trade him? What do you do?
You sign him.
Who else? So you said Nick Mullins would be the starting quarterback if he left?
Yeah. Who else? Yeah. Who else are you gonna have? Like.
Yeah, he's a little bit like Matt Ryan, maybe.
It's like it's literally the same exact situation.
Matt Ryan might be a good comparison.
It's the same as Goff, though. Like they both went to the Super Bowl, and they're both pocket quarterbacks.
I wouldn't say ride with Nick Mullins, but free agency the next couple of years is going to be pretty good for quarterbacks. So I would go with that because they'll have a good pick in the draft this year, but I don't know. Maybe
$1 today.
Where are you
worth
going
more
to
than $1 tomorrow?
Where are you going to find a quarterback that's like
value of money?
You don't re-sign Jimmy G. Where are you going to find a quarterback that has playoff experience that has been to the Super Bowl? Like you're not going to find that.
That's why I think like Matt Ryan is good enough. That's why I think Matt Ryan might be a good comparison. Like they're not flashy quarterback. Like Jimmy G is not a flashy. Like he grew up. He learned a lot from Brady. You watch those highlights of them saying like the same stuff to their players on the sideline. Like I don't think they trade Jimmy G. Like it's so hard to find a quarterback that works for your team. Not every quarterback's going to be on a superstar flash level of like a Mahomes or Jackson. But if you got something that works, I mean, you look at teams like the Falcons. I think is the best example. Is like Matt Ryan's a good quarterback, and he clearly can make it to a Super Bowl. You have to have good coaching. You have to have a good defense. You have to have pieces around him. You don't need the best quarterback in the league every year does not win the Super Bowl every year. Like there's not a consistency there. It's a misconception. It obviously helps, but the best quarterback that year doesn't always win. Like the MVP isn't always the Super Bowl winning quarterback. Just to put in my 2 cents quickly is I think Trubisky his future depends a lot on how he plays while Foles is injured. I know he already lost the game, I believe, but it's not a good look when they draft you. You get replaced by Nick Foles. I think Foles is good. The more people give him credit. But I think he might be looking at a career like Bortles where he starts to back up quarterbacks and is waiting for another chance to prove himself down the line. So I'm not saying I'm eating nachos, but hopefully he comes through. I think they don't trade Jimmy G. I think they do fit Jimmy G's injuries. Just got some injuries recently, and that whole 49ers team has had injuries. So I don't even want to put that totally
That's
on
a
Jimmy
good
G.
point. That was another thing is injuries. I've heard that that's a scare for the 49ers.
That'd be fair in that vein for sure, because you got to start valuing consistency. The one thing I want to add that I think I agree a little bit with Jonathan is with Cam Newton. I think it really depends on if the Patriots want him back. Specifically, if Bill Belichick wants him back, I think he can be a good fit. I mean, you see them beat the Cardinals. That's a game you need to win. They're still technically not out of the race. If they make the playoffs with Cam, I don't even know if that's guaranteed that Belichick's just like, oh, I have to keep him. Like we all are aware of Belichick's toughness. Like if they're on the draft board and there's a good quarterback, they're going to pick the best player. Whoever the best player is going to play for their team. So I think it'll come down to maybe next year if the Patriots don't do well, they might keep Cam for another year, and maybe you'll see a fight in not a physical fight, but like they'll fight it out in training camp to see who starts. Maybe they'll get a draft pick to be the backup for a year to like kind of solidify a veteran there to teach the next guy up. But I think it comes down to the Patriots want him back. I mean, and that depends on if they make the playoffs and if Cam doesn't throw the ball. They've lost so many heartbreakers, the Patriots, that maybe they know that Cam can win these games. It's just been like unfortunate some of these last minute, losing to the Bills that way, losing to Seattle in the last second, mistakes. But I think of all the job security on these three quarterbacks, I think I'd be the most worried if I'm Trubisky, to be honest.
Okay, so we can all agree on Trubisky. That's good. We at least agree on one.
He's welcome to come on the podcast, though. We'd love to hear your opinion.
We'll move on because we are going to talk about the Patriots with our last topic. So we will get back to all our thoughts. R. Albert 8811. Who should be the starter in Miami? Tua. I cannot stress this enough. It needs to be Tua.
Yes.
I love Ryan Fitzpatrick so much. I like one of my favorite players. He's awesome.
Me too.
But flipping back and forth from Ryan Fitzpatrick to Tua, back to Tua to Ryan Fitzpatrick, and like that's just not good for Tua. Tua won like for his future, and then Fitzpatrick was already pissed off that you put Tua in front of him in the first place. So this doesn't help either quarterback. Ryan Fitzpatrick hates it, and I guarantee you Tua hates it because as soon as he's down or makes a mistake, they pulled him. I mean, they first pulled him against the Broncos 20-10. He was down 10 points, wasn't injured. He said he didn't pull him because he was injured. They take him out, and they lose 20-13. Why in the world would you, after 3 or 4 games with Tua playing pretty well, do you take Tua out when there's a slight chance that you're going to lose and he's playing bad? Like, that's not what you do to a quarterback's like morale or like his mental state. I feel bad because like as soon as he makes a mistake, now he's worried himself. Like, oh my God, they're gonna pull me. Oh, we're down 21. They're gonna pull me now. Like I can't make a mistake. Like that's not what you should have your quarterback thinking. You need to have 100% backing of your quarterback when you choose. And we've seen this saw it on Monday with Hurts and Wentz. Like they put Hurts in for a little bit and then take him right back out and put Wentz back in. Like what is that? That shows the indecisiveness of your coaching staff. So you need to put Tua in. You have confirmed when you put him in over Ryan Fitzpatrick for the starting job midseason that he's your future quarterback and he's your quarterback right now because you're in a playoff race and you chose Tua. You need to stick with that. Now I'm hearing that he has a slight injury. So now there really is no choice. You have to put Fitzpatrick in. But against the Broncos, that game, when they were down only 10 points, I know Tua was playing bad, but he's a young quarterback, and he needs to learn how to go through that adversity, not just get taken out and have Fitzpatrick come in. You know, I totally disagreed with that move, but it's got to be Tua if Tua is healthy.
Yeah, I agree totally. It's got to be Tua. He's your franchise guy, and if he was injured, okay, you don't put him in. But against the Jets, like that's the perfect time to have him gain some momentum, gain some confidence, because we haven't seen him throw for 300 yards yet. So it's kind of like, they're trying to like keep both guys happy, and by doing that, they're keeping nobody happy. They're just playing with their emotions, and nobody can have any confidence or play well. So Tua's the franchise guy. You need to keep him in. Sorry, Fitzpatrick. If you want to play, you're gonna have to go to the Bears or something.
Can't believe you guys. I said this in the very beginning. They should have kept Fitzpatrick in. Tua wasn't ready. I said Tua wasn't ready, but no, they decided to put him in, and they ended up winning those first few games. But that wasn't because of Tua. Their defense was playing well. Special teams contributed, and then it made Tua look good. No. Fitzpatrick should have been in the whole time. And then when they really started to see how Tua really is, his true colors came out, right? After a while, your true colors get revealed. And it turns out he was struggling. He wasn't making the right reads. He didn't know who to pass it to. He wasn't comfortable in the pocket. And he tried to scramble many times. They're like, no, this guy's not ready. Let's put Fitzpatrick back in. So they found that out like a couple weeks ago during the game. That's why Fitzpatrick went back in. Fitzpatrick is a better quarterback right now because he knows the game.
But
he's the game. He's smart.
Tua is your franchise guy.
He's not ready.
Tua is your franchise guy.
Yeah, he's your franchise guy. Mahomes
you really think
Mahomes,
that Fitzpatrick is going to win the Super Bowl if you keep him in?
That's not the point. Mahomes was a franchise guy on the Chiefs, but they kept Alex Smith in. He was not ready yet. He was still trying to learn. And then you saw once he took over the next year, he was really good. That was supposed to be the game plan for Tua. Tua is a pretty good quarterback, but he's not ready to play. Put Fitzpatrick in so he can learn. That's what they should have done. They made a huge mistake, and all they've done now is lower Tua's confidence. And now he's going to be nervous every time he goes in because he's going to feel like Fitzpatrick's going to come in any second, right? If he makes a mistake. So they made a bad decision in putting Tua in too early. And now they lowered his confidence and just pissed Fitzpatrick off, right? They pissed the veteran off. He should have been in. And who cares about the Super Bowl this year? Let's be honest. They're not going to win the Super Bowl this year. Give the franchise quarterback the proper education. Let him learn for a year. Then, like Mahomes, then he can be successful. They rushed him and they made a mistake, and now everybody sees it.
I think I've mentioned this a little bit too. I think Jonathan brings up a good point because realistically, if you think about it, right, the situation is you have two really good quarterbacks with the Dolphins, and Fitzpatrick was playing, top of this, like leading the league in some of these metrics for quarterback. We talked about him in one of the earlier podcasts, and we also set out Tua has it in him, and he's shown flashes of brilliance with the Dolphins. He's growing. Like Fitzpatrick is already a veteran quarterback who's I think he went to Harvard, I think, like smart dude. He's had like 140, 160 some starts in the NFL. Like it's pretty amazing his journey as a player to stay in this league as long as he has. Maybe not on one team, but to still be, for teams to still find him useful is huge. So I think what you're looking at is the Dolphins say with Fitzpatrick, you're seeing you can win right now with him, And the other thing is you want to grow Tua because he has the potential to even surpass Fitzpatrick one day. I think Jonathan brings up a good point because if you're the Dolphins and you legitimately don't think you're going to make the Super Bowl, then that might be more of a reason to let Fitzpatrick have taken the lead. And speaking in that tense, because you're risking Tua get injured, letting him learn. Why put the pressure on him? The question becomes: are we going to make the playoffs? Or are we not? When realistically, if you don't think you can make it to the Super Bowl, then you can help him learn. I think we talked earlier about Tua that there's been this trend of getting your rookie quarterbacks to start immediately when it used to be you draft them and then you let them develop underneath the veteran. And I don't think that model's so far gone. Like maybe it's good for these quarterbacks to get their rookie season out by watching how the thing develops. Not because I don't remember the last time a rookie quarterback made it to the Super Bowl. I'm sure maybe it's happened, but it's like it removes those expectations. Come sophomore season, you see these quarterbacks do much better. So I don't think that's because they played their rookie season and kind of knocked the rust off the hard way. But maybe in the hindsight, maybe it would have been better to Fitzpatrick. The reason I'm speaking in like the kind of past tense is like it would have been better to keep Fitzpatrick is because my whole thing is once you make a decision, you got to stick by it. I think indecision is going to hurt the team more. The idea of like coming down the line, like, oh, is Tua the better matchup or Fitzpatrick this week? No, like they chose Tua. They believed, the coaching staff believed it was time for him to take over. I personally think in hindsight, maybe it was better to let Fitzpatrick lead, finish out the year, maybe make next year he can stay on the team and just be a good backup, because that's a good person to have in the backfield if he understands your team, and let this year be like a learning year for Tua. I think, but in hindsight, I think as a team, they've made the decision to stay with Tua. We've learned from other teams how when you don't commit, you have other problems that affect your confidence as a quarterback. I think they pulled Tua out for a game, right? Like he wasn't playing well. They benched him, right? Which game was that?
Broncos.
I don't remember specifically, but they've been legendary quarterbacks that like we know the names of. When they play bad, their coach just sits them. Like it's just a bad day, and I think with that decision, I think it shows the rest of the team that you're not, even if you're the best player on the team, even if you're the leader of the team, you're still held to certain expectations. And I think in that situation, it was it was a learning lesson, But I think all in all, I think at this point they're committed to Tua. They got to let him play, but in hindsight, unless they go forward saying Fitzpatrick is the guy for the rest of the season, 100%, unless he gets hurt, then you got to stick to that, But I think it comes down to win now, maybe see what happens, or let Tua learn through action, But then you risk injury, then you risk all these other things happening. So, yeah, I think the starter should be Tua just because they committed to him. I think if they want to win games this season, Fitzpatrick might have been the better pick.
Yeah, I mentioned Mahomes, by the way, sat out a year.
Yeah,
but if you look at Aaron Rodgers,
right?
That's Aaron Rodgers. He sat out for long, right?
It gives you a chip on your shoulder.
We know the superstars. The fans, we want to see him play, but you got to do what's best for your career. You got to learn the game. Once you learn the game really well, then the rest.
Think about it, you earn it.
Look at Mahomes. That's why he's so successful.
Once you're the starter, you earn it. Whereas if you're a rookie, you earn it just by being drafted by the team, and they're like, all right, now I'm the starter. Whereas like Aaron Rodgers, Mahomes had to humbly sit on the bench for a while before they got the reins of the team. But by that point, they're like, yeah, it's my team now. I've chewed on the whatever metaphor, they sacrificed, and now it's their team. So that might be a fair point. I like that comparison.
Yeah, I mean, initially I didn't agree with putting in Tua over Fitzpatrick because they were on a run with Fitzpatrick. Fitzpatrick felt like that was his team.
I
just don't know if taking Tua out like in the middle of a game, like I don't know if I agree with that portion of it. Maybe after the game, after they lost, saying, hey, like Fitz is going to come in, we're in a playoff race, like blah, blah, blah. But like to take him out in the middle of the game, like, or right towards the end, kind of.
Yeah, that's not good.
Mm-hmm.
Last topic right now. The question is asked by Aiden Spadorcia. If I said that wrong, I'm so sorry. But Aiden, what should the Patriots do this offseason to become a playoff team next year? Now, I have a list. One, I know I just said that Cam should go to the Broncos, but that's from his point of view. From the Patriots' point of view, I think you re-sign Cam Newton. They're doing a lot better than a lot of people thought they would be. They're almost 500. And then I would try and get as many weapons at the wide receiver position as possible. The last 3 years have just been like crap wide receivers for the Patriots. And even with Tom Brady, one of the best quarterbacks, he just could not do anything with any other player besides Edelman. And now that Edelman's out, there really is just nobody to throw to. So you need to get experienced wide receivers. You need to get good young wide receivers. And at the running back position, develop Sony Michel and Damian Harris. Damian Harris has just proved to be a freaking beast running the ball, really north-south back, just plowing everyone over. And then Sony Michel is just a speedster, and I think he's just got to stay healthy, number one. And then it doesn't look like they're going to get an early pick in the draft and not early enough to get Trevor Lawrence or Justin Fields. But I say you draft a quarterback in this draft and you get Kyle Trask from Florida. This guy is a Heisman candidate, and he still is out of the first round. So you could even get him second round as of, the mock drafts that have come out recently. But he's a Heisman finalist right now, and he is competing with Joe Burrow from last year. His stats are on the same trajectory as Joe Burrow's. He won't, go crazy because there's only 8 or 9 games. But that's what he's playing at the level right now is Joe Burrow from last year. And he's breaking a lot of SEC records. So got to keep an eye on Kyle Trask.
Before I get into Patriots, I just want to say Kyle Trask, he's been playing pretty well this season, but I think that's more because he has, great weapons around him. I think, he reminds me of Tim Tebow.
No.
I don't think he's going to be great in the NFL, dude. I don't think he's going to be great. So I don't think the Patriots should pick this guy up. I agree that they should try to keep Cam. All they need, I think, is more weapons. They need more receivers, right? Cam is a dual threat quarterback, can run the ball when you need him to. Damian Harris, like you said, can run. They have James White. But if they added more lethal receivers to the team, then I think their offense would be more unpredictable and harder to stop. Their defense is pretty decent. Belichick, he's a defensive mind. He knows how to stop the great teams, like the Chiefs, even, right, and the Ravens. So if they get receivers, then I think they're looking at a different team. But Kyle Trask, I wouldn't get him.
I don't know.
So I completely disagree with both of you. I think that
about what? Everything?
I think they should. I think they should re-sign Cam, and I think they will. He's going to be there for the next 4 or 5 years. But they shouldn't get any weapons. They don't need receivers. They don't need weapons.
Oh, come on.
Don't
lie. Know they need weapons. Come on.
No, that he doesn't. That's not what the team is. He's not a throwing quarterback. He's not going to drop back 30 times a game.
So he needs help, though.
No, he doesn't. Dude, if Edelman was healthy, did you see what they did against Seattle? That I know Seattle's defense was bad, but Edelman had his best receiving game of his career.
But that's when Edelman's there. Edelman's only getting older.
Yeah, exactly.
He's fine. He never gets old.
Throw him out there when he's 40. Screw it.
It's 2020. It just doesn't count.
Throw him on a slant up in the middle.
Yeah, literally just put him in the slot and then put him on a 10-yard slant, and he's open every time. I don't know how, but he is. But to be honest, they don't really need weapons. If you put Edelman in the slot, you have Jacoby Myers, you have N'Keal Harry. That's not the worst receiving core in the league. The Eagles are worse. So they still have a decent they still have a decent receiving core, and that's not their team. Their team is run the ball. They have Sony Michel, they have Damian Harris, they have Rex Burkhead, they have James White. You see where this team is going. They're going to be a running team,
but it's not really working that well.
No, it's because their defense. I'm telling you that next year they might win the division. It's going to be between them and the Bills, but they're definitely going to make the playoffs next year because they're going to get their defensive players back because they opted out because of COVID. So the only thing I think they should do is get defensive players because they don't know who's going to come back because of COVID. But I think next year, Patriots fans, don't worry. You're going to re-sign Cam, and you guys are going to be a playoff team and possibly win the division next year. Trust me. Belichick has it all figured out. I guarantee they don't draft a receiver in the first 2 rounds.
The Patriots are good at working with what they got. Yeah. They know they don't have the greatest receivers this year. That's why you're seeing more running and stuff. If they had lethal receivers, believe me, Cam would be throwing a lot.
And that was the conversation with Brady for years, was that Brady would always elevate his receivers, even if they weren't the greatest in the league. He would win games with subpar receivers. And now you're saying maybe part of it's Brady, obviously, but then you're saying that coaching team, that staff knows how to use their players specifically to win games. So that's a fair point. I agree. I think even Belichick himself said that what can he do when so many of his key defensive players opted out? And more power to them. It's not a dig on them because you do what's best for yourself and your family. But John might have a point saying next year those defensive woes might. If we're looking at this year specifically, I think the defense has more problems than the offense. Now they're not perfect on either side of the ball, but I think you have a better point that maybe next year if those guys come back, then they might see that defensively it's going to open up a lot of things you can do with the offense. I think the question mark for me, I'm not so sure they re-sign Cam Newton right away. I know I've said I believe in him. I think when he's healthy, he can be very good. When a team caters to his specific skill set, because it is unique for a quarterback, his size and his ability to run, but also he can throw it. Maybe not the best in the league, but he can do that. But I think it comes down to how they play for the rest of the season with him. I said this earlier, but if the Patriots want to keep him, and they do, I think that's good for them. I think they still draft a quarterback to develop him, kind of like Jonathan, you were saying. Maybe let him be behind Cam Newton for a year or two and see what happens. But I think if I'm the Patriots, you start to look, you just want to win games. Like, I think it's interesting. You lose your franchise quarterback in Tom Brady, and we're not really sitting here talking about how the Patriots suck and they're not gonna, a lot of teams when they lose their franchise quarterback have like 5-6 years of just being terrible. We're not really having that conversation with the Patriots. I think they're gonna want to build for the future, anticipate that, but they have teams now that, you see why Brady left, but I think they have it in them to win games, pretty sooner than most teams could recover from losing their franchise quarterback. Is it Cam Newton? I don't know. Remains to be seen, but I think they could stick with him for a while.
Okay. Well, Patriots right now are out of the playoff race as of whatever date it is, December 1st or 2nd. So they do have some work to do.
Yeah, they're not eliminated yet, though. They still have a chance.
Not eliminated at all.
There's 3 wins out of first in their division, so not impossible.
Yeah, it's definitely not impossible.
They'll probably need to win the division, though. Maybe the wild card might be tough.
Yeah, but the future is bright for the Patriots. I think you got a lot of young players, and especially J.C. Jackson. Not a lot of people talk about him, but at cornerback, he's up there right now with some of the top cornerbacks. He's very, very good. We're gonna throw it over to John for this next segment. It is our fantasy football segment. We just have one player. Oh, John has one player that is a must sit for this week 13. John, take it away.
So I'm going to keep it short and simple. The sit for this week is Kenyon Drake. I know he had a touchdown, maybe 2 last week against the Patriots. The Patriots have a bad run defense, but he gets the Rams this week, and I'm pretty worried about the run game. They've been using Edmonds, they've been using Drake, and the Rams with Donald there. I'm pretty worried about Drake this week, so if you have Drake, please sit him. I don't see him getting 10 points or a touchdown. Kyler, I'm a little worried about him, but Hopkins has gotten the better of Jalen Ramsey in his career, so I'm not super worried about the pass game. But for Drake, I would definitely sit him this week.
All right. Well, we're going to stay on that topic of Kenyon Drake and talk about the games of the week. The first game being Rams versus Cardinals. The Rams are in first place. I think they're tied with the Seahawks for first. Someone double check me on that. And the Cardinals, I believe, are third place.
I think they're in second because the Seahawks won.
And Seahawks are 8-3. Rams are 7-4.
So okay, so the Rams are in second, West. And the Cardinals are in third.
Big game for both teams, though.
Yeah, it's
Arizona's 6-5.
It's really anybody's race right now, to be honest. I've been riding with the Cardinals the whole season, and they've been on a slump. But you can call it an excuse, whatever. Kyler Murray, something's up with his shoulder, man, because they're not using him to run. I'm serious. They're not using him to run, and his throwing is just so off. I'm a little worried about the severity of that shoulder injury, if it's nagging him. Nevertheless, though, I'm going to go with the Cardinals. Rise up, Red Sea. Cardinals over the Rams.
Like, you make a point against it, and then immediately you're just like, oh, it's Cardinals. It's got to be. No other option.
I don't think it's any surprise that I'm going with the Rams, even though they lost to the 49ers. I've been picking against the Cardinals all season, and I've been right for the most part. The one time I was wrong was against the Bills, but yeah, I'm definitely taking the Rams this week.
I'm taking the Cardinals. This is a must-win game.
Yeah.
And that's where you're going to see Kyler Murray shine. I'm picking the Cardinals. It's going to be a great game.
I would say I want the Cardinals to win, but I'm going to say the Rams on this one. I think the defense is better. And with that injury to Kyler, I think it has affected his play the past few weeks. You hope he heals. But with the injury and the Rams, they're both teams. We talked about their consistency last podcast. with these two teams, it's going to be a big game. So I'm hoping for a shootout, hoping for an entertaining game. It's definitely a game to watch. But I'm just going to go with Rams on this one.
Okay, we're pretty split on that. Last one, Browns versus Titans. We talked about the Browns, talked about if they can continue the success. Can they continue the success against the Titans? I don't think they do. I think the Titans win this. My God, Derrick Henry, just no regard for human life at this point. I mean, he is tearing people up, throwing them off the field, running them over. It's unbelievable. Keep doing it. You're on my fantasy team. I want 30, 40 points this game. Titans.
You want Tyreek Hill level numbers?
So sorry, Heath, but the Browns aren't going to win this.
Yeah, I said it earlier. The Browns are going to lose to the Titans. And like you said, Derrick Henry, the Titans don't seem to realize until halfway through the season that they can give it to Henry every play and they can win the game. They think, like, when they start the season, they're like, oh, shoot, we need Tannehill to throw it. And then
Probably
they realize, wait, we don't need that. Like, Henry just runs over people. Guys, Derrick Henry's going to have over 100 yards and 2 touchdowns again. Browns can't stop the run in the middle of the field, so it's just going to be a feast for Henry, and the Browns really have no chance in this game.
Yeah, I'm picking the Titans.
All right, I'm biased because I have Chubb. All right, but I'm giving this one to the Browns. I think they have
because you have Chubb.
I'm like trying to justify my own bias, I mean, okay. I also have AJ Brown, so this is tough for me. I mean, there's fair play for the Titans. They have Derrick Henry. They have AJ Brown. I just feel like Brown's defense has had to go up against Chubb and Hunt, so I feel like they might be interestingly suited to try to. Can't really counter Henry, but that defense is. I think Myles Garrett's back. It's going to be interesting to see what they can do. He's on my fantasy team. I need him to do well. I'm going with the Browns.
3 for Titans and 1 for the Browns. You really have the Browns, don't you?
I can't. I don't even have a dog in this fight. I do have Chubb, but I mean, like,
and
the Browns.
You have all the
I have 2 dogs. I have 2. Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. I'm torn. But
well,
that's my take.
That was pretty decently long podcast, but it was filled with a lot of great takes. Thank you guys again for the continued support. If you've made it this far, I want you to choose between the Browns or the Titans. Just one word, Browns, Titans, if you made it that far.
We are now streaming on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So
let's go.
Please give us a follow. You can listen on the way to work. It's a great time. So happy to be growing.
Listening in the car as we speak.
If that's you, eyes on the road, 3 and 5 o'clock, whatever. Yeah, 10 and 2. That's it.
Thank you guys, and we'll see you next week.